What's up everybody, Austin here from Make Pop Music and Austin Holt Audio and Visual, and today we are back with another tutorial and we are going to be talking about how to get the perfect pop guitar tones, and we're actually going to cover 3 different tones. We're going to do a clean tone, a crunchy tone, and then a more character driven tone that's kind of got like some chorus and phaser, a la like the 1975 kind of vibe like that. So we are going to be diving in, we're going to be using Guitar Rig for all of these tones. It's something that a lot of you probably have. It's pretty easy to acquire, so I figured we might as well just run down a couple staple tones in that. Before we actually dive in, I do want to make one little quick announcement. Everything on our site is still 50% off right now. That sale is going to last until Monday, so this is your last weekend to get it. We will not be running 50% off again until at least next Black Friday, so it could be your only chance to cop our stuff at half off for an entire year. So definitely head over to makepopmusic.com and grab a couple things. Our bundles are on such a steal right now. The Sounds of Life pack is brand new, that's half off. There's a little bit of something for everybody. So if you do enjoy the free content, the videos, the free samples we send out, the Facebook group, going and supporting that does help us, and that does go a long way to give us time and resources to do things like this, make more content, free and paid. So definitely head over to our website and support. Other than that, let's actually go ahead and dive in. Now we're actually into the session. Let's go ahead and go over some of these tones, some tips when you're tracking guitar, and then just talk a little bit about guitar tone in general. So this song is actually a song I'm working on for an artist right now. So the mix is still a work in progress. This is not going to be like the most polished thing you've ever heard. But let's go ahead and let's just talk a little bit about guitar in general. I'm going to go ahead and kind of get us a mono track that has nothing on it so I can kind of show you what the raw guitar sounds like, because as much as you probably don't want to hear this, how the guitar sounds coming in is going to be a huge factor in how good the tone is. For example, like I just got a new guitar last month. I got a new Fender Strat, and before that I was tracking everything on a Gibson Les Paul, and the Gibson just did not do a great job of like these more like pop driven, plucky kind of finger pick tones. It just really did not have the right tone in the guitar, so no matter what I did, I mean, I could get it to sound fine, but it was never so good that I wanted it to be like the central element in a mix. But here's what the Fender sounded like straight in with nothing. So it's super clean. And then here's what it sounds like with just one patch. So this is what the patch actually sounds like by itself. Now let's go over what we're actually doing to process this. So again, like I said in the intro, this is going to be Guitar Rig. And then this is basically just a Twang reverb amp, inspired by the Fender reverb, I am assuming. And I've got the volume at 10, treble is at 8.3, mid is at like 5.5, bass is at 4, reverb is only at 1.4. Speed, I don't really have on. I don't have the vibrato on, so it doesn't matter. I also don't have the reverb on. I did switch the bright on, and then I've got it on the Twang reverb cabinet. Going towards mic A a little bit more than mic B. It's like 66, 34%. So I'll kind of play around with that and show you guys what that difference sounds like. So this mic over here, mic A, is a little bit rounder. And this mic is kind of pokey in the mids. So I like a good little mix of both. Dryness right here. And then I've got the studio reverb on, basically doing like a little slap delay almost. I'll take it off and show you. So that's got the pre-delay at 73. Room size is at 7.19 and brightness is at 6. Dry and wet is all the way up almost at 50. I'll kind of drive that down and show you. Another thing that I kind of should say is that I really, even though I track my guitar in mono, I always throw them on a stereo channel so then I can play around with stereo effects like delay and reverb and stuff like that. I don't know how it is in whatever DAW you're using, but in Cubase, if you're on a mono track, you can only use channel inserts in mono. If I want a stereo reverb or a stereo delay, I've got to be able to actually put that on a stereo channel. So all of my guitars get dragged over to a stereo channel no matter what. And that's literally the entire tone, is just that basically Fender reverb going to the match cabinet. Mics are like 2/3 towards A, 1/3 towards B. And then just playing around with some reverb to get that nice little wide slapbacky delay. And then mono sounds like this. And then what I really do in songs is I'll kind of show you what that sounds like by itself. Here's what it sounds like with just that one guitar. But to me, that was not enough. So what I did is I double tracked it, and make sure that when you do this, you actually track it twice. Don't just track it once and then duplicate it, because it will phase out and cancel in the middle. And you'll just have one sound coming at the middle that's twice as loud. So what I did was I went through and tracked it again, copy and pasted that amp straight over here to the same thing, literally same settings. So with both of them now, we've got a nice wide stereo clean guitar. So that's a big tip for clean guitars, is go kind of simple with the processing, layer them. Like if you want to pan them, track it twice. You could even do 3 times and keep one in the middle. You could also add extra little things on top, like extra little licks. So I mean, the tone is really simple, basically just a twin reverb, match cabinet, playing around with mic choice a little bit, and that's about it. That's really all we did on that. And I'll kind of show you another instance of that where it's doing something a little bit different. So here's that exact same tone, just with a little bit different lick. So it's a pretty flexible tone. It'll work great on any kind of little plucks, any kind of little stuff like that. Now I want to show you what that first tone sounds like on something that's a little bit more plucky, like a little lick. So it's that same exact tone, just with a twin reverb. And here's what it sounds like with some plucks. Very Shawn Mendes-y. And then I just threw on some H delay to give it a little bit of stereo spread at an 1/8 dotted. I like doing dotted delays on guitars for some reason. It gives it this kind of like cool, spacey, echoey vibe. And here's what that sounds like. So an 1/8 note dotted ping pong delay, cut out some highs, cut out some lows. So that kind of tone will work really, really well on finger plug guitars. Anything from like John Bellion's Guillotine to something like Hold Back the River, all the way up to something like Lost in Japan or something more Shawn Mendes or Ed Sheeran, where it's like more plucked and more kind of spicy. So start with that kind of tone, and then you can really do anything you want from there. Let's go ahead and talk about a little bit crunchier tone. So this kind of reminds me of like a really classic, just nice mid-heavy crunchy tone from an orange amp, which is actually going to be the amp that this is mastered at, or this is modeled after. So for this patch, here's what this guitar sounds like with nothing. And again, these were duplicated. So here's the guitar coming straight in. So good guitar coming in, double tracked it and panned it for some width. And then we've got the citrus right here. Master is at 7.6, gain is at 5.5, low is at 3, bass is at 9. And this goes all the way up to 12, by the way, guys. This is not up to 10. Then we've got the treble at 4. We've got the presence at 4.5. And then we've got this little control room right here, which is basically controlling a bunch of different mics that would be on this actual amp right here. So I'm going to turn off the echo that we've got so you can just kind of hear what these are doing. So we've got, looks like a 89, a 47, a 57, 421 and 441 are muted, and a 54, all going to an American 2x12. So that's going to sound like this. So you could easily play around with these mics and do something in stereo where like you would pan one mic one way, one mic the other way. That's a cool way to play around with tone. I didn't do it on this song because I just needed them really for texture. They're not like a main element. So I just left this kind of as is with all of these mics going right here. So I kind of like it actually driving that 121 and that 421 up a little bit. So I'm going to leave those, and control room is really, really cool for like mixing and matching mics and stuff like that, because you can actually dive in and do some really cool stuff where if you're miking a cab, unless you've got 8 mics and 8 interface channels, might be a little bit hard. So then we've got a little tape echo. I'm probably one of the only people that actually likes putting a little bit of echo on something like a rhythm guitar, especially something a little bit distorted. I just think it kind of helps it sit into the mix a little bit better when it's... This is not a hard song at all. We really just have this there for thickness. I'll show you without it. So it's really just there to kind of like enhance the backbeat of the guitar and of the synth that we've already got. So I didn't want anything too crazy, so I just have that little tape echo right there. Here's the settings. It is about 352, and then about 12 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 7:30, and then 9 o'clock. And here's what it sounds like with that. Play it again and pan to the right. Now let's go ahead and chat about this really, really twangy guitar that we've got in the actual chorus. This is just the stomp compressor right here. I like doing stomp compressors on twangier guitars. That way I can kind of drive them a little bit harder without having some of the transients come through so much. Then we've got just a twang reverb and a twang reverb match cabinet. This one's staying 50% in the middle, so nothing crazy. On the actual head, we've got 6.3, 611, 5, 6.1, and then we do have the reverb on this one. That's at 1.4, and then we do not have the vibrato on. This setup is kind of similar to the one that we have earlier, but as you can see, it is a bit twangier, especially since we've got a twangier guitar coming in. I believe I played this with the bridge pickup instead, and then we've just got a nice little tape echo also on this. So it's kind of like a mix of the first two patches that we went over. So when you put all of those together, it makes this really kind of nice wall of sound for the guitar. Nothing's carrying too much weight. The clean guitar is very clean and very simple. The crunchy guitar is nice and crunchy, but you can still kind of hear what it is. It's not completely muddled. And then this like twangy guitar is twangy, but it's not too pokey in the mids to where it's like kind of honky and annoying to listen to. The last thing I wanted to go over is this cool little center guitar that we have right here, which is probably going to be a lot of y'all's favorites. Let's hop back into Guitar Rig. This is actually the Jazz Amp stomp compressor again. But we've got the Jazz Amp with the brightness on. Volume is at 7, bass is at 6, mid is at 5.5, treble's at 6, and then we have the chorus off, I believe. So yeah, we don't even need to talk about that. Then we've got mic B. We're actually given 84%, so we're going more towards mic B on this one to give us a little bit twangier sound, dryness going into the Jazz Amp. And then I'm going to turn these off for right now so you can hear that. Then we'll get to the actual sauce of this. So it's a really good sound. Sounds nice on its own, but when we add this ensemble, that's going to give it a bit of width. It basically adds a chorus, kind of doing what something like Unison would on a synth, where it's going to kind of detune everything and pan it out. And that's where you get that really cool like 1975 Peter Gabriel, really 80s like synth wavy kind of guitar. So I really like doing that. The ensemble is a really, really good way to add some width. Just make sure you're using it on a stereo track like we talked about earlier. Then we've got a lot of reverb, 50% wetness, a little bit of pre-delay so it's not super, muddying up the actual strums. Room size is at 6, brightness is at 6.5, and then we're just setting it to an extra H delay that's doing 1/8 dotted, filtered out kind of as usual, per usual. So this is what that sounds like now. And this actually sounds sick with a little riff on it. We didn't end up using this in the song, but just so you can hear this tone in a different context. So I like it. That was probably a bit too thin. If we did use that, I would probably duplicate this and add a little bit more saturation, maybe a little bit more drive, maybe put something like a distortion stomp pedal in front of it. But for those like really, 1975 kind of quick licks like that, I think it works fantastic. So here's what the verse sounds like with everything. Then we added them into the second chorus. So now for the second chorus, here's all of the guitar. We also have some acoustic guitar that we're not going to chat about in this video, but this is just kind of a final rundown of all of the tones all together so you can hear them. And that's it. So we've gone over the 3 tones. Hopefully you can kind of keep these straight put in the presets yourself, kind of save them as good starting points, and then tweak them from there to fit your own songs. As you can see, there are a million different things that you can do with guitar tone, and personal taste does go into it quite a bit. You can have your tones cleaner, crunchier, wetter, drier, more effects, less effects. You can do stuff that's not even through an amp sim and just kind of process it with stuff like, reverb, EQ, compression, stuff like that. These are just three kind of really easy starting points for tones that I think could work really well in almost any production. Then you can do whatever you need to do to them to actually make them fit in your mix and kind of be in your style. So hopefully you guys liked this video. If you did, let us know, leave us a like, comment below, subscribe to our channel. Other than that, if you have any guitar tones that you like to cook up, definitely let us know in the comments below. I'm always down to try new things, and people in the comments are always reading through comments and getting other useful tips, so definitely leave some stuff there. Hope to see you guys on the website because the sale is ending after this weekend. Other than that, we will see you guys next week with more tutorials. Much love, everybody. Peace out.